You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. You're listening to the Friday edition. My name is Clark from 5 Card Guys on Instagram and 5cardguys.com. Co-hosting with me, as usual, is Hyung of Integrity Sports Cards and John, who is Trade You at Recess. All right, in our last episode on Tuesday, I recorded a quick note at the beginning saying we couldn't really talk about the Bowman Chrome Buyback program because we recorded last week's episode right before the announcement came out. But we'll definitely talk about it today, as we promised. But first, there are more important things to discuss. And that, of course, is the Tacofractor promo reveal, right? So let's not waste any time and get right into it. So in a nutshell, if you have the Tacofractor of the player who is the first to steal a base in the World Series, you get Taco Bell tacos for life. In reality, it's $15,000 worth of Taco Bell product. I guess it's in the gift card. But if the first person who steals a base doesn't have a Tacofractor card, whoever has the wild card Tacofractor, they end up getting the $15,000 gift card. So let's hear it. How awesome or how bad is this Tacofractor promo?
Man, I think we all can agree on this one, but it's definitely something that I think we didn't expect. We're hoping that it wasn't something like this. My original concern is, the hype that only pertains to such a small percentage of people that have the Tacofractor card. Right. Just the fact that I think after Topps Chrome Cosmic, there's a set of 300, 200 in the original Topps Chrome and 100 with the wild card in Topps Chrome Cosmic, right? So, yeah, I just feel like a lot of people were, I wouldn't want to say misled because everybody's to each their own, but Topps acted like, these were going to be a lot more useful. But now it seems like you just have a chance. So think about this. We pulled the odds of 1 in 8,000 packs. That's the odds of hitting a Tacofractor card. It's out of 5. There's a 200 set in the Topps Chrome. So hitting one of these is next to impossible. So if you got one of these and you've seen it on the eBay marketplace, like these things were selling for thousands of dollars. The wild card sold for like $11,000. And now, you have this for a chance to win. I think that is the biggest blunder one. I think Taco Bell for life, I think it sounds good when we were a kid, I think. Like, it was like, oh, you get Taco Bell for life, wow. But like, I think now that the hobby has gotten to where it's gotten to, it's not that big of a deal because it's really not Taco Bell for life. It's a $15,000 gift card, which should be, that's a lot of Taco Bell regardless. Somebody calculated, it's like you spend $11 for the next, 3.5 years every day. That's a lot of Taco Bell, right? So, sure. And there's so many jokes going around, but yeah, I think overall, I think it had, like, I'm thinking that, like, are you kidding me? Like, this is what you came up with. And it seems to me that it's a pile up from the mess up with the buyback with the superfractors. Like, I feel like they had to cut a lot of the budget out. Because if you think about it, if you do the math, if it's only 5 people, you're looking at $30,000 for every 2 people. And this is retail value. We're not talking about cost because that's a whole different ballgame. It's, it would be, 15,000 times 5, whatever that is. Right. So $75,000, right? Of retail product compared to a multi-million-dollar release of a product like Topps Chrome. You'd think that they would allocate more of the budget, which given that I think the superfractor debacle was something like $700,000 that Topps is dipping into their budget. So I imagine that had to do something with the way it all unfolded. Right. But I'm just disappointed that the amount of sales that happened before the actual release. Like people, and we were in on that too at one point. We're like, should we? I remember every night, Clark, you're like, oh man, there's one ending here. Maybe I'll pull the trigger. Too much, right? Yeah. So, I mean, for a chance, that's like, getting a golden ticket in the Willy Wonka and just saying you're not chosen yet. You have a chance to now go to the chocolate factory. You know what I mean? So that's the only downfall, I think. Taco Bell for life. If you think about it, it's kind of, I guess, it's not bad, but I think it's not what we expected. There was a lot more hype in the marketing than what Topps and Fanatics delivered. So disappointing for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is, I personally think it's a debacle. It is such a shame. Not to harp on Topps even more, but we literally joked about this. How silly it would be
it was a joke.
If it was free tacos for life, because it's related to the Tacofractor, right? And we're like, no, it couldn't be. And lo and behold, it actually is. So aside from what Hyung is talking about, like the ridiculous odds of hitting it, and even if you had it, the ridiculous odds of you becoming the winner within the subset of owning a taco, like it's crazy. And then for the prize, after all of this, for the prize to be something completely unrelated to the hobby and or sports, 15,000 is nothing to sniff about. Like it's a big monetary prize, so to speak. But I think everybody was expecting some sort of sports hobby related bounty prize, right? And, Will, we tried to get Will on the show for today to get his 2 cents. I think it would have been pretty funny, but he mentioned how he was just kind of so upset that the whole thing is just about advertising, and it's just, and I don't know, it's not a horrible prize, but I think the execution, in the end was a little too silly. And who was the baseball player that tweeted or sent out a message saying, "Oh, I hope if you get mine, you better keep it."
I think it was Ozzie
Albies. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So now you can kind of get where that's related, but
right.
I don't know if Topps put him up to kind of saying something, or if he just said it and he wasn't supposed to say anything or hype it up even more for no reason. And, other players were like, this prize is silly. I'm not saying anything, I don't know what happened there, but I think
from outside in though, it's like if you're an MLB player and then they came up to you like, "Hey John, we're doing this promo with Topps. Guess what? The winner gets 15,000 or Taco Bell for life." If you're Albies, you'd be like, "Okay, that's pretty cool. I think that's a pretty cool prize." You don't know nothing about the hobby though.
Right.
Meanwhile, the hobbyists are like, "What is going on?"
Yeah. Yeah. So I think all of those little tidbits, clues at the beginning just created such an enormous hype. And for it to come down to a prize like this, it's so disappointing. And maybe Topps completely misunderstood the hobby, completely misunderstood where the marketing would go, how much this would blow up. But yeah, it's pretty, I need to gather some more thoughts because I feel like I have more to say about this. I'll let you go, Clark.
Yeah, I want to go back to Ozzie Albies, okay? Mm-hmm. I have a theory that he actually knew the details. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I assume that because of.
Let's think about this, because if he knew that it's going to be the first player stealing the base of the World Series, come on, he's playing for the Braves. He's like, "Oh, we're going to make it. Right. We're going to make it to the World Series. Right. I'm going to be the one that's going to steal the first base." Right. Okay. Albie's got some speed, right? So he's like, "You know what I'm going to do? give a hint.
He's a good candidate.
Whoever has my card, yeah, exactly. He's like, whoever has my card, I suggest you keep it.
Yeah,
but
I don't even think it's been pulled.
No, it has. I saw 5K.
Yeah,
sold for 5K.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Wow. So what? I think. Sorry to cut you off, Clark, but I think the wild card is probably the favorite. It has to be, right? Like the odds of. I mean, Acuna has to be up there. Acuna, Albies. I don't know if Mookie Betts has one, but it depends on who makes the World Series, right? Which is so ridiculous.
That too. Yeah. So yeah, exactly, right? So and even like the wild cards you mentioned before sold for 11K. Like you're almost paying the whole price at that point.
For sure.
You know?
Absolutely.
And there's risk. Like someone
Massive
from the Braves
risk.
could steal. You know, if we're all assuming that the Braves are gonna make the World Series, but you know, so like it just seems all ad hoc. You know what I mean? Like we kind of joked in our last episode where we talked about the Tacofractor, where we're like, oh shoot, we got to do something about the Tacofractor cards because, you know, people are thinking that there's utility behind it. And now this seems like they're kind of trying to think of what that utility should be kind of ad hoc, you know, like, and they're like, oh, this seems like a good idea. And then they're not thinking through all the other details, right? Like what gets me is the timing of the announcement. Like it was released and people are buying and selling on eBay. Like to your point earlier, Hyung, like I was until yesterday looking to buy a Tacofractor.
And now it's like, no way.
Now I see all these listings that are $100.
Yeah,
of players.
It just tanks.
Oh yeah, of players that are not even in the playoffs. Like what about those guys? Like Shohei, like whoever paid for the Shohei, I feel bad for them.
Oh
you know?
yeah, like zero chance. Yeah, that's a tough one to swallow.
So that's what I'm asking. Like, is there going to be additional utility?
I think there was supposed to. To be fair, I think they're just way over budget.
I hope so.
I think they really messed up. Like
with the buyback.
Yeah, because it's like 75,000 of retail. They're doing 700,000 of buybacks with superfractor debacle. So it's like, oh, we gotta cut this budget or something. It's like, what's the quickest way?
Yeah, because if it wasn't for the buyback, if that's true, like, you know, even if you didn't give Taco Bell for life or 15K, you could have like lowered it to 1 to 2K and give it to more prize winners.
100%.
Like that would have made it more people happier, you know, and less of, you know, criticism out there. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it is what it is. I don't mind. Like, I think, John, you were mentioning that it wasn't sports related. I don't mind them trying new things, you know, crossing over to the different industries. That's fine to me. But yeah, just the execution of it it's been done so poorly. And I think everyone can agree with that here in this pod. Yeah.
With what you're seeing, with what you're seeing though, is like what we talked about, utility, right? Starting to implement utility, whether people like that or not. I think that's a good idea. I think
for sure.
Like,
agreed.
Creating artificial value, as bad as that sounds, it's like, well, there has to be incentive, like buybacks, for instance, MVP buybacks. That's an incredible artificial, you know, increasing value through artificial means. So it's like the utility makes sense. I think, like you said, it's more the execution of how they did. So it's not going to be like, okay, since they messed up this time, they should never do something like this. Or, well, even the frozen fractors. What are those? It's like we were joking with our group of guys that it's going to be frozen yogurt or whatever it is, right? Or Yogenfrus, right? So it's like, yeah, the idea is there, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I just like, what was the point of making it a surprise in the end? Like, if you're going to cross,
I think they didn't have an answer.
Yeah,
if you're gonna,
they were thinking,
right,
exactly.
Like if you're gonna cross over to something different, like food, there's no point of even making it a surprise right from the get go. Tacofractor. This is the reason why it's a Tacofractor. If whoever player you get goes to the World Series, yada yada yada, steals a base, you win Taco Bell for life. They could have just came out with it straight up, and then I think people would have been, you know, pretty happy about it. Like, yeah, okay, that's kind of cool. Let's go for some guys who can steal bases, some Tacofractors will be worth a little bit more money. Why make it a surprise? And I think that's what just shot them in the foot. You made it a surprise. Everyone's imagination ran wild. MLB players were tweeting out, you want to save my card. So people are thinking, oh my goodness, I should probably save Shohei's card. I should probably be saving Mike Trout's card. Is it going to be crazy? I'm going to have like a meet and greet with this person. And like, it end up being like free tacos for life. Like, oh, I think honestly, I think Topps has some work to do. Like, I think they need to, at the minimum, you guys are kind of mentioning, bring some utility to those that just have regular Tacofractors of regular players. Like, $100 gift card to Taco Bell. Like, they got to make up for this because, like, I don't know. I think the long-term effects, like the next time they do a promo like this and there's a bit of a surprise, I don't think people are going to trust Topps at all. Like, this, I think the consumer confidence in these marketing ploys from Topps, it went down a little bit because of this. So I think there's some long-term damage that may have been done here. So I think we're going to talk about the Bowman Chrome buyback, but they got to make it right to get back into the good books with people. Just my opinion.
Even if they spent $1,000 on a Tacofractor, throw them a bone, give them $100 gift card for
at least.
Exactly. Yeah.
And honestly, it sounds like they're just kind of making things up on the fly. So in the future, definitely they need to be better prepared, plan things accordingly, and like you said, John, announce it before the release or at the release. That'll be, at least people know what to expect.
Right.
I think that's all we can ask for as consumers and as collectors, right? So I hope it's a lesson learned. Well, we did talk about the Bowman Chrome buyback program a little bit, but let's get into it to end off this Friday episode. It's trying to address, obviously, the duplicate superfractor fiasco, another one, in the 2023 Bowman Chrome set. So for those who haven't heard all the details, Topps acknowledged that there are 95 non-autographed superfractors that have duplicates. They're non-autos. So they are offering a buyback program for those duplicates, and it ranges from a few $1,000s and all the way up to $75,000 for top tier prospects like Ethan Salas. So what do you think about this fix? Good or bad?
But by the way, before we get into it, I heard it's not cash. It's Fanatics credit or something like that. That's what I heard.
I was going to say it's Taco Bell dollars.
Yeah. But I mean, you I
figured, I figured that it would have been in product because now whatever their gross margin is on that, that's what the cost is actually. So it's a way they're probably, if it's $700,000 in credit, they're probably laughing. I mean, it's still a hit on them. I don't think it's as big not as big. So there's ways to kind of water it down so they take the hit lightly. But I think it's expected. You got to do something. You got to get those cards off the market. But the question is which one are they going to return? If 2 is pulled, who's going to return it? Or if both are returned, or if somebody decide to keep it, what happens then, right? Or whatever it may be. But I think regardless, I'm glad Topps did something. Like, they had to address it. They had to be transparent with it. They had to acknowledge that there was a hiccup, and there has to be a solution after that, right? So I personally think it was tied into this whole Tacofractor debacle as well. Like, it goes hand in hand with what they're trying to fix and kind of like the launch of, I guess, the Tacofractors and the utility behind it. So personally, I think it's good that they're doing it, but at the same time, I think they're just a little over their heads right now in terms of kind of fixing the problems that they've kind of created in the marketplace.
Yeah. And I didn't know that about the credit. I guess that was news to me. So, but like we said, it just makes sense that they would do it that way. Bowman Chrome, I think, I'm not sure. You're kind of saying like what happens if both of them. I would imagine that they would they pay out
both?
I
think so,
right?
Yeah, for sure. I didn't see anything.
Yeah,
otherwise.
That's what I thought. And then I guess they decide what to do with it if both were submitted. Would they just destroy one and keep one and then redistribute it? I guess it's up to them at that point.
Right.
Yeah, that's a massive mess up.
Yeah, but to your point, like how about if they just decide to keep it and there's 2 in circulation on eBay, keeps on going. Like is Topps going to try to bid on those eBay ones and try to get it out of circulation? Like how far would they go for that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, if you think about it, like I think about this. If let's just say there's a bounty on like a big one for 75,000, I'm sure somebody would take 50,000 cash
for sure,
and then somebody would take 75,000 in product for that.
Oh, I see.
Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it might be a something bigger than what we think too on the secondary market.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I like the buyback program. I think it's amazing. You know, like when we talk about Topps, you got to make it right. I think this was the right move. Most of the values, from what I understand, I don't know prospects. Hyung, you know the prospects a lot better than we do, but I've heard that the prices are way above what they're worth. I think that's the way
for sure.
You got to do it. Give it back to the hobby. Make people excited about the pull. Even if it is a mistake, maybe make people excited about the mistake. I think that's the way to do it. So going back to the Tacofractor thing, like Topps, you got to make it right. Whatever it is, I don't know what the solution is, but you got to make it right and make people excited to pull Tacofractors because this is not good.
Oh boy. Well, I guess we're in agreement there that the buyback program was a good thing to do. I'm not sure if you heard the story, the one story where I guess someone sold it for, a lot less than the buyback value. And then when it got announced, that seller intercepted his own package from the post office. Yeah. So
really?
Apparently sold it for a few hundred, but the buyback was worth like 3-4K. So, and already paid for by the buyer, and then how you see the USPS updates, and then at the very end it says intercepted.
Oh boy!
But I feel like I don't know how you're going to be able to sell that now because everyone knows it was Rainer Arias. So whoever had that card, everyone knows who it's a super. So
right,
it could be one of 2 people, I guess. But yeah, that was a messed up story. So Topps got a lot of work to do.
I think that's a sign that we should rip Bowman Chrome right now.
That's what. Yeah.
That's a great.
We
point,
talked about
right?
this, right?
A lot of incentive. No, not really.
Really?
A lot of incentive to rip, right? Like I think
totally.
There's a lot more incentive to rip right now.
Let's do it.
Those bounties are crazy.
That's an excuse for us to kind of get our group together and maybe live stream something where we're going superfractor hunting.
Right.
Let's do it. At least at the very least, it's good content. So you and I are in Hyung, and whoever else wants to join, that'll be fun.
Will's in.
Yeah. You know what about the prices not going up? Like it kind of makes sense. It's still going to be hard to hit the superfractor.
Yeah, realistically.
Right. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Even if there's 95 extra cards, superfractors,
ridiculous odds. Yeah.
But it'll still be at least one more chase in Bowman Chrome at least. Okay, well, that covers what we wanted to cover for this Friday's episode. If there's any new updates regarding the Tacofractor, regarding the Bowman Chrome buyback program, we'll definitely talk about it in a future episode. Thanks again to all our listeners, and we appreciate you guys, and we'll have a brand new episode for you next Tuesday. See you then. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.